Lior, thank you so much for joining the Think Small podcast today. Really looking forward to today's conversation. We're going to get into what Yael Consulting does, how you're a bit different from your competitors, and really looking forward to showcasing your business. Talk about what you guys are going on over there. Lior, thank you so much for joining. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Alex. Yep, happy to be here. Happy to chat about it.
Yeah, so tell me all about it. So how'd you get into business? How'd you start?
So I started out at a company called Outlook out in Los Angeles, kind of was a startup back then, got thrown in the marketing side and said, learn Google Ads. This is back in 2009 or so. So back when Yahoo and all other stuff was there. Got really into it, did really well. The company did amazing, got sold to Nordstrom. So I learned a lot from a lot of smart people. But I really fell in, and I did a lot of analytics there and BI team. I started their BI team there, but I really fell in love with the marketing side. So I went to work for a marketing agency afterwards. Did really well there. Was managing $1 million a month accounts and, really working to kick butt. But I felt something was missing because you do all this great work and everyone's like, yeah, great. And it didn't feel the heart for it. So, even though you're saving thousands of dollars, no one really cared. So I decided to venture out and work with small businesses. Because I felt a lot more connected to it, a lot more fun doing it, seeing entrepreneurs if they're struggling or had bad experiences and helping them succeed and grow their business or save their business. And I don't care if I'm saving $1,000 or $500 a month. They appreciate it, and it just feels like, yeah, I can do this much longer, and it's a lot more fun that way. So started the agency. I've been working since 2011. Now we're here in the U.S. office, which is over here. The team's over here. We all kind of sit together. And that's what we really enjoy doing, is working really close with small businesses and getting in their business, sharing a lot of my experience from big business, and cascade it down and getting, strategizing and then training the team on that. So it's much more collaborative and fun. And that's kind of how we're different.
Nice. Yeah, I was just at a business conference yesterday called the Aspire Tour. It was pretty cool. They had Kevin O'Leary and David Goggins were speaking, so it's cool to see them in person. But there was one guy that brought up seizing the moment and opportunity, and he talked about how Google approached Yahoo in 2004 or something like that, and said, "Hey, what will you buy us? We'll sell you Google for $50 million." And they said no. Yeah. And then like 2 years later, they offered like $5 billion or something. And then again, Yahoo said no. But now it's like, you don't Yahoo anything, you Google it, right? So you're in a really interesting space because, you're from like almost the start of like Google, and you were like, right away, you got to get on those Google ads. So tell me more about your approach when it comes to your clients and how you're supporting them to make sure that they're getting enough visibility and driving their name to the top, right? That's always the hope, right?
So first of all, Goggins is badass. I wish I heard him speak. Right? Is he as intense as he is in the books and stuff?
The energy in the room was wild. Like he was like, we were already hyped to see him, and he was like, that's not enough, give me more. And we all flipped out. He drops down on the stage and starts doing push-ups. It was a moment. It was cool.
Because I'm ex-special ops, so I appreciate that mentality. And I'm like, I read his book, and he's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's actually a good point. First of all, I never heard that story about Yahoo. That's crazy. It's pretty funny too. But being in Google, when they just really started picking up Google Ads early on, you learn when they were at their raw stage and very fundamental, how they think, how to build things. And as Google Ads is changing, and it's changing so rapidly, knowing the foundation, it always goes back to that, right? They change this feature. Okay, so it's like this feature, but they have to do it this way, but it's the same idea, right? And the other side of what I was mentioning at Outlook, now was, that company sold to Nordstrom. So they were a startup looking to get sold. So they did everything very smart and how to grow the business strategically and very, with a lot of smart people. So knowing that side of the business, it helps me work with small businesses to say, here's how Google Ads works, and here's how a business should work, right? Like, what's your lifetime value, right? Sometimes a small business would say, I want $30 per sale. And we go in and we crush it at 25. Great. And they're like, I want to grow more. I'm like, let's start talking about LTV. What? If they don't know what it is, we explain, like, how much money are you getting from them over the lifetime? And you see these customers, you get more value over the lifetime. And this one, you get less. Let's pay 35 for these. And like, oh, makes sense. Because that's the thing. Business owners get it once you kind of just show them or, some angle. And that's the fun part of being collaborative, because we're experts in Google Ads and business in general. But then when we collaborate with small businesses and actually listen to them and get their expertise, like, that's it. Like, we have an advantage to beat competitors, because usually it's like agency, they put their head down, we do our thing. Business owners, they try to reach them. But really taking the holistic approach and figuring out, and it's fun because when they see us so engaged, they trust us. And we're like, what if we try this? And all of a sudden we're like running the business with them and they trust us and we're winning. And it's like, and that's why we only take one business per industry, because we don't compete with ourselves. Like, we don't need 1 billion clients. We want one client, kick ass with them really well, enjoy winning with them. We say we're doing everything for you. It's genuine because there's no one else we're going to take on. We're limiting ourselves to them. And it just becomes very simple, genuine, real. And again,
that must be really unique because you're not necessarily like, like whenever I talk to people, I'm like, oh, who's your ideal client? Where do you fit best? And they go, all right, we're good in tech space, or we're good in with business services, or I'm good with HVAC companies. But you're industry agnostic. You're one person, one industry per client kind of thing, right? So does that change your approach with bringing on a client? Like, how do you show that you know what you're talking about, right? Because they're like, hey, we're an HVAC company. How are you going to help me when you don't know anything about HVAC?
So first of all, it's quite interesting because doing this for 15 years and being very hands-on. So all the audits I've been taking, so I've done thousands of audits over the years, right? I mean, it's not like we're 20,000 hours of doing Google Ads. Like, so when someone talks to me, I actually know a lot about it, HVAC, some odd psychics, like anything I've experienced. So I have a lot of deep knowledge on how it works with Google Ads in there, but it's listening to them, right? And maybe they're saying it's hard to explain, and they start explaining it, and I repeat it to them in different words. They're like, yeah, you get it. Because how to understand a business and break it down what they're after, it's universal. It's fundamental, right? So I'm saying, so I ask them what questions to ask. And every single audit that gets done for the client, so they come in and say, I need help with Google Ads. I said, great, let's jump on a Zoom call. And I say, share your screen and show me, your Google Ads account. And I look around and I explain to them what's going on. They said, oh, we were struggling with this. And I'm like, here's why. And I do the audit to make sure I understand what their issue was. I explain to them exactly what we're going to do. Everything's transparent. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to fix it. Does that make sense to you? Yep, makes sense. Great. Then when we start working with them, we just do everything we said we're going to do, right? And everything is very clear. There's no false expectations, because sometimes with agencies, they have a salesperson saying, we're going to do this in 3 days. And then you get a poor, guy who's happening. How the hell did I do that? Here, it's me telling it. Then I say, hey, guys, I just recorded a Zoom call with, Mike, Jake, whatever, or Mary. And we summarize all the points I said exactly I'm going to do and become tasks. And we do exactly everything we said we're going to do. We collaborate with them. Any questions? And it just makes sense when I say it, I'm sure, but it's much smoother. And I'm confident, because I always want to maintain the quality of our service, that we can help. And if I can't help, I tell them, listen, we can't help. Or if they ask me, what's the result going to be? I say, I don't know, but here's what we can do. I rather under-promise and over-deliver, and that's kind of how we've been around for 15 years with good reputation, where most companies, they get excited, they push for a lot of clients, quality goes down, and kind of go away within 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and it does sound like you take a lot of pride in the results that you deliver, right?
Yeah, I always say, like, changing bids for 15 years isn't that exciting, right? But if you're like working with businesses and different people and people you like, a lot of companies become friends, like, it's just because you're in it and it's genuine, it's real. So it's pride in that, and I want to win. I mean, I'm not doing this, someone beating us, like, hey, let's figure out how to win, right? And I can be real about it because of one company I have to help tackle this industry. So probably get in the feel that everything kind of makes sense and works together to make it a lot more holistic and, again, fun.
Right. I want to talk a little bit about the actual results of it, though, right? I mean, I have to imagine they consult with you, they have a meeting, you lay out this framework for what you're going to do, and then you start working on the deliverables, right? Mm-hmm. At that point, what's your timeline where you say, all right, were we successful in driving more business? Like, can we prove that we were a good investment, where there's an actual return? And what does that look like for you?
Yeah, great question. So one thing I make sure we say since the beginning is that we do 30-day contracts. So we don't lock you in. Give us 30 days to show you something that you're going to want to say, I want to continue, right? And because I do the audit, if I don't think I can do it, I'm not going to take them on. But if I do, I know we can deliver. And then in 30 days, I said, you'll see something. Internally, we kind of play a little game and saying, how fast can you get the client to get impressed, with results, right? And the shorter you do that, because I said, listen, they probably experienced other agencies. They know the talk and the deliverable, there's a huge gap. So I know there's going to be doubt no matter how great I sound, how much I explain. And I don't want them to have that doubt. I want them to have fun with it, right? Enjoy us, trust us. The only way to do that after all the talk is results. So we kind of get in there very fast. I mean, our setup time is like 3 to 7 business days. And if I can get it done in 2 days, we'll get it in 2 days. Because we have 30 days. Clock is ticking, and the sooner you get it in, all of a sudden, this client's like, yep. I had one client that was spending $30,000 a month, and within days, I was in there and changing things and recommending. And I'm like, how much you want to spend? And he said, whatever you want. I went up to $150,000 a month in that 1 month, first month, and it was profitable. But he said, do whatever you want, because he saw that there's someone, at the helm, like driving results and thinking about it in such a deeper way, and cutting all this waste, and he's seeing his revenue go up. Yeah, do your thing, right? And that's like another thing. Like, there's no like limit on hours. There's no like, hey, when we meet every week, great. Meet as often as you need. If you call the number on the website, I just pick up this phone. Like, there's no press 1. It's very simple, but it works.
Right. So you talked to me a little bit about the team that you have over there. I'm wondering about what, like, if you had to summarize the culture at Yael Consulting, what is that like?
So when I went from consultant to starting the agency and hiring, it's a huge learning curve for me. But I narrowed it down to 2 things that I look for people: that they're really smart. Well, 3 things: really smart people, right? Willing to work hard. So I throw them through some hoops in the hiring process to make sure they're not, I'm not going to do that. You get scrappy. And 3, the biggest thing that I look for is I want to help people. Like, if you want to help people and you're smart and you're ready to do whatever it takes to figure it out, you can learn everything else. Everything else is easy because you'll put it into the legwork to figure it out. You'll stay late because you want to help them. And it really becomes that kind of culture of just us wanting to help the client. And if a client, if a client ever oversteps the bounds and like talks disrespectfully to the client, to our team members, I'll fire the client. And I've done that before. If they see it getting hurt, right? We don't do that here. We're trying to help you. And if we don't feel good about you, we're genuinely not going to want to help you. It's not good for you, the client, right? So we don't work with them. So that's part of the culture of like, but the opposite, which is most like 99% of the time, is that we like the client. We see them suffering. No, we're going to help our buddy out or our friend out and make it happen, whatever it takes. And we have collaborative. And we all sit together here, like I've mentioned in the office here. So it's like we're brainstorming, we're talking, we're yelling across the room. What do you think? And it's
yeah, it's cool. So I love the collaborative energies, right? I mean, I'm wondering about, all right, so my question was around COVID and how you fared through the COVID pandemic, what it was like to send everybody potentially remote, if you furloughed anybody, and them back, and then reestablishing that in-person culture. What was that like?
So that was actually a very interesting thing. So I never did remote work. I said, because I'm going to hire you and I want you to sit with me, roll up your sleeves, literally sometimes, and figure it out. And, people said, oh, other companies do remote. We're not doing remote. I'm ex-special ops. I like being in the team, like putting our heads together, figuring it out. And that's something now everyone's kind of reverting back to the office. We're like, nothing's changing. We're just doing the same thing we always do. We have that advantage because there is an advantage of sitting together in a room. During COVID, we lost, we have small businesses and everyone was uncertain. And we lost maybe close to half our clients. But my point was on quality. So we never like just pushed to grow too fast. So I didn't have to fire anybody. We kept all the whole team. But also we needed more clients. And then what I just did is I told the team, I put my head down and just went to work on selling and putting myself out there and worked pretty darn hard. I also have 4 kids, but still pushed through. They were home with Zoom and everything, but pushed really hard to make sure I deliver what I promised the team, right? I said, you do your thing and I'll do mine. That's my responsibility. And during this time, it was actually very nice because I needed help to up my game on sales. And I reached out to all my clients and asking them for video recommendations. And everyone was just like, yes, yes. And I'm like, it's so nice that I'm always working so hard for the client. And knowing that when I need them, really tough time, a lot of them were just there for me and sending out videos and pretty funny videos and like, oh, I just love Lior and that's why I'm doing this, that's how much I love him. I'm actually creating a video right now. Like they have that on my website. And it's like, yes, it just confirms why we're doing what we're doing.
That's great. And it's continue to be sort of that overarching theme of like a large sense of community, right? Like you're establishing this community between even the internal team, but then also with your larger client base, right? Because they're all individually their own industry, you're creating a network of industries that it's very unique.
Yeah, and we have people that leave companies and they hire us with a new company. We have companies that, they leave us to hire it internally. And when someone leaves, I'm like, listen, that's fine. Like that's what we have month to month. Let me train your guys internally. I don't want to see you go lose everything we built because we build it, right? That's another difference. Like we don't, like some agencies are like, oh, you're leaving us, and they get all huffy. But when you're part of building something, you just want to see it grow. And like some clients come back, oh, I know you're not going to take us back because we left you. I'm like, why would I want to take you back? You left me because you thought it's better for your business. That's business. It's not personal. And it didn't work out, so let's kick ass again. Like, what's the big deal? It's not drama. It's very simple mind, straightforward.
It seems straightforward to me. Like, I'm always down for a return customer. Come back whenever you want.
Yeah. You couldn't imagine, like, no, you left me once. Like, it's not, this is like life. You didn't leave because you thought it's better for his business. And you know what? And I promise, and it sounds odd, but sometimes when they leave me, I tell my team, I hope they do better. I hope they're right, because there's not a lack of business to help. If we wanted to grow super fast, that's what we do. But we control our growth. So that's not an issue. And they're doing it for themselves. And when you start nurturing something from the bottom up, I mean, I work with a client that one friend that, is an investor. He had an idea. He's like, I want to try something out with like $200 or $500 many years ago. Watermark. And I said, great. And we tested this idea. And it worked, and it keeps growing. And all of a sudden, they're at $70,000 a month in revenue. And then, then they took on an 8, and they got bigger investors and got the whole team there, And they fired us because it became a whole different. Fine, I was there at $200, right? But then a year or so later, they got sold for like millions of dollars. You're like, yeah, we started $200 when they were an idea, and it's fun to kind of be part of that winning team. And that's also part of the mindset is just win, right? And it's easy to say when you have one company, when you're doing you have one horse in the race, yeah, win, right? And it's very focused on that. And you know what you're doing, and you have deep expertise, and you have a methodology that's proven, and you're working with the businesses, you're actually getting more feedback. I mean, agencies are missing out when they don't listen to clients because they're trying to figure it out with one hand behind their back. But if you take the time and make that investment up front, you got the tools to really do well for the long term, and that's what it's all about.
So I worked for almost 4 years for a PEO, which is a professional employer organization. Essentially, they're HR outsourcing.
We got a client for that,
yeah. Yeah. And we called it the success penalty, right? When a client grew too large for the PEO, they broke out and created their own HR department. They didn't need a PEO anymore, right?
Right.
And it seems like you have something similar where your bread and butter really is in the small group market or the small business market, right? And then when they get to be that larger, company, then it makes more sense for them to maybe internalize it or just to, work with a larger agency. I'm wondering if you have a plan or a strategy for those larger clients to maybe help retain them, or if there's something that you can do in the future that would be like, all right, yeah, I want to keep these larger clients without suffering that success penalty.
I thought about this for a while, and I'm not sure if it's just the growth factor. It's because it's more about that company, for example, when it got the investors and it became more corporate, and like we have processes and procedures, right? And we have to have this, and we have someone handling everything. When it becomes more official like that, it also limits us because like, on our side, we have Google ads, Microsoft ads, Facebook ads, and Meta ads. But if a client needs website help, guys, just get our programmer to fix it for them. And we don't mind even charge. So we can do a lot more to figure it out. It's very scrappy, but at the same time, high quality and, great. But so we have companies that grew, like I said, the guy from 30,000 to 150, 180,000. They're still a client for many years. I mean, they're big, but it's more of that. We work with, the owner, he knows what he wants, we execute it, and he trusts us, and he didn't grow out his whole corporate-y kind of feel, which is fine, but we don't do as well in those environments. And in my mind is what, at the end of the day, keeping it simple again, whatever's a fit. If they become corporate, it's not a fit. It's not the fit. We had value.
Yeah.
And we helped the next company, focus on the next company. And if you're big and you still want to keep us, which a lot of companies, we have a company that grew, company that was one competitor in the industry, and they came in as the scrappy, second competitor, and they're client for 10 years, and they're kicking butt, and they're still with us. And again, everything's month to month. So I'm not concerned about trying to force something that's not there. We have a certain culture, a certain mindset, and as long as that fits, let's keep rocking. If it doesn't, let us help. If we can help any way we can to make you successful in the future, reference us. I mean, to leverage our, shorten the learning curve, whatever. We're there, but not trying to change our DNA when it's not a fit.
I get it. Yeah, no, it's all about maintaining those relationships and being there for your clients in whatever capacity they need you. Exactly. And then when that time comes where it's like, hey, maybe we're not a fit anymore, that's perfectly all right. Yeah. I've said this I've said this directly to a client. I said, hey, listen, I love your business. I want to work with you. I want your business, but I definitely don't need your business, right? Yeah. So if you want to work with me, that's great. If not, then that's all right too.
Yeah. And it's so, listen, if you're nurture someone for 2 years and it goes off and becomes amazing, that's what we're doing it for. It's that's what you wanted to happen, and that you created that momentum. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? That's the fun of it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I always like to kind of wrap these up on a really optimistic note. And I feel like you've got that energy that like you're always looking forward to the future. It feels like. So tell me something that you're looking forward to the end of 2025 or that's coming down the pike in 2026 that you're really excited about.
Yeah. So we actually built our internal technology, invested over $1 million in building it out. A lot of it's because I didn't know how to build technology, but I had the expertise. But just in the past year, it came into fruition. Like, it's solid, it's stable, and it was working back then. But to the point where if I saw something glitching, I'm like, I'm not scaling with the glitch. Rebuild it, right? And now it's at a spot that it's really supporting us and our team, proprietary and really cool stuff that based on my expertise and knowledge of BI and Google Ads. So now, I'm a solid team here, looking to really grow our business and scale and help more businesses. And it's funny because as much as I want to maintain quality and not grow too fast, every time I audit an account and I see how terrible it is, I'm like, oh, how are people doing this to small businesses? And that's really a drive to grow. It's not to grow to make a lot of money. There's such a need not to do shitty work for small businesses. And it's so easy to fix if they just take the time. And that's exciting. And it's easy for us, right? Because it's so bad. So I'm excited really to grow with small businesses and get ourselves out there and partner up a lot more.
That's fantastic. If I was a prospective client of yours, if I'm out there and I wanted to reach out, get in touch with Yael Consulting or reach out to Lior and be a new client, how would I get in touch with you? How do people find you?
Yeah, YaelConsulting.com. If you call the number on the site, like I said, I just pick up the phone. It's keep it straightforward. You can fill out a form on the website. Little bit what you're looking for. If you want to know if your account's doing well, perspective, anything. Like I said, the audits, I don't hold anything back. Here's exactly the answers. You want to do it? Do it. And if it's a fit, love to see what we can do together.
Awesome. Lior, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you for joining the podcast and being a guest today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Alex.